Hello, um, I'm Alexander Groves, and this is Caitlin from Makersplace.
Hi, thank you everyone for being here today. We're so excited to be presenting an incredible project that Alex here from AA Murakami is presenting. I think so many of you have probably seen it from afar. I noticed when I was queuing in line outside that you could see the smoke rings from his immersive installation all the way up from the beginning of entering the building. So we're very, very excited to be here today to talk a little bit more about the project. But first, I'll introduce myself briefly before passing it over to Alex to talk about his background as an artist and stepping into the NFT space. So my name's Caitlin Cruickshank. I work in the business development department at Makersplace. I have, prior to being in the digital art market, had entirely a career in the traditional fine art world. Most recently, I worked at Sotheby's as a business director for fine art departments for the last 7 years before jumping into NFTs. But I've worked with auction houses across London, Amsterdam, Edinburgh, Denver, Chicago, and New York. I love the art world. I've always been a part of it. But there was something incredible about jumping into the digital art space, working with NFTs. I've never had so much opportunity to work directly with creators before. And I am a real believer, as the daughter of an artist, that being a creative is one of the most difficult things you can do. It is so hard to support yourself and to chase what at times feels like an impossible dream. It is really fulfilling for me to help artists make money, make a career in this space, to kind of break down the walls that some galleries and auction houses have in the traditional art market. So I've never been happier. I think the NFT space is revolutionizing what the art market was, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. So I'll pass it over to Alex, who's going to tell you a little bit more about himself, go into a little bit of his background, and talk about how he got first interested in the digital art market himself.
Thank you. So I'm one half of AA Murakami. We actually also have a design studio called Studio Swine. So this is my wife and partner in the studio is Zusa Murakami. She couldn't be here today. But we started out with large immersive installations, and so this is a ceramic sculpture. Actually, it's the biggest ceramic sculpture in the world. It's 10 meters high, and it creates scented fog rings. And this is probably our most well-known work, which is New Spring Tree, that creates mist-filled bubbles. And this is a body of work that we call ephemeral tech. So we've been doing this around 10 years, and the idea is that it's totally digital. There's all the code on the side, but the interface in which you experience the digital is actually through physical, ephemeral, or ethereal matter. So in this case, it's bubbles. And we make our own hardware because there's nothing actually that exists out there that we can use. So we have to make our own.
There's no more bubbles in the soap, Charlie.
And
oh, really? It's come through,
this
right?
particular one is kind of like a bubble waterfall. So this, kind of comes from a little cloud in the space and makes these snowy drifts. And we're really interested in states of matter. So we work across 4 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. And we got into the Web3 space and got really excited about how we could bring our ephemeral technology into blockchain. So we started a body of work called Floating World Metaverse. Floating World referring to the Japanese traditional kind of block prints. And I'll explain what a metaverse is later. But this is our first NFT. It dropped on Art Blocks in December last year, and it was Floating World Genesis. So it's the first Genesis project of the metaverse. And it consists of 250 unique NFTs that are made kind of from the algorithm, the code on chain. And because it's a piece that's based on screens, we're looking at art history and the history of kind of art on screens and how you get these fantastic triptychs, which might talk about the or like origin myths of our civilization, or in this case, it's heaven, earth, and hell in Hieronymus Bosch. And then you've got bubbles, which we're really fascinated by. Bubbles are the kind of ultimate ethereal, ephemeral matter that talks about the fleeting beauty of existence. And bubbles in mythology, like Aphrodite came from sea foam, from bubbles. And in science, bubbles were the origins of life. So the Miller-Urey experiment, discovered that with a primordial soup, that bubbles were the first cells. And so to this point, we created Floating World Genesis, which is a triptych of kind of the origins of life, from the single bubble in the first scene to branch chain to kind of horizon, when life changed our atmosphere. And so this is kind of our piece from that, the different scenes. And we wanted to make something that was almost like minimalist kind of painting. And they're all animated, and you can get these triptychs. So it's the first project on art blocks that's stereoscopic, so there's certain rare traits where you can put on 3D glasses and it begins to come off the screen. And essentially we're really interested in the future of NFTs and shaping what the future could be. So we believe that NFTs could be off-screen one day. So we call it on-chain off-screen. So this is an example of on-chain on-screen, and I think that as an art experience, it's a bit limited to just remain within the screen. And I think that technology should be something that enhances the quality of our life. We shouldn't bend our quality of life to fit a technology. And so we're really interested in making the metaverse. So the metaverse is not a metaverse, it's not a virtual world, it's one with matter and materials. And so it's when in real life and NFTs meet. And this is our floating world metaverse, and it's got different scenes, and New Spring Tree could be at the heart of that. And these are things that you can touch and feel and smell, and all kinds of things. These are really robust bubbles that we developed. And they can even bounce endlessly on water. And then we're interested in, bringing some of our NFTs off into physical environments, like this light piece that's a flooded space. You can explore it. It kind of always changes color and the sun goes up and down. So, interest in kind of light space movement and how this can start to interact with the blockchain. And scenes from UKO, which is the Floating World series. So this is using plasma. So we developed this technology where without any wires going into the glass, it kind of plasma arises up to your hand and kind of changes color gradients, and then you can walk through a lightning cloud. So it's a piece that we're currently doing in South Korea. And it's responsive to your touch as well. So it's like most of the universe is made up of plasma. 99% of the visible universe, because all the stars are plasma. So we're interested in kind of physics and making these surreal, unnatural phenomenon. And giant bubbles that release into a space and can leave kind of giant clouds. So something that we're obsessed with bubbles, always.
There's so few projects where you actually get any sort of a sensory experience, which I think is something that really sticks with you with everything that you've done in the space.
Yeah, we're really interested in how technology, how the interface can be something that is multisensory, and I'm fascinated with how something could be on-chain and something that isn't just audio-visual. And so this is, the project with the fog rings, which is a permanent piece in UK and in South Korea now, and it's something that we're presenting here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alex, and for walking us through the projects. From my very first call with Alex, I was so unbelievably sold on getting involved in this project. So Makerspace, when we decided to come to NFT Paris, we have an amazing booth over here that everyone should stop by and say hello and see us in. A lot of the fairs and events that we've been to, we've taken out a booth and we've shown some beautiful art. And a lot of what we do, you know, I hear the feedback from collectors all the time. I want to understand how I can live with this, how I can interact with it. So you'll see in our booth that it looks very much like an interior. We have plants, we have couches and chairs, we have a salon-style hang on the back of the wall. But when we met Alex through Carlotta, who is working with NFT Paris, we found out that he had this phenomenal concept for this project that he wanted to bring to life here, but really needed to partner with the marketplace to help make it happen in the first place. Makerspace was very, very lucky to be able to get involved. We're so happy, so excited about it. Alex's incredible immersive installation is really right next door to our booth, and you can see the fog rings kind of floating from above. So this project actually has 3 phases, which we'll get into in a little bit. But Alex is going to walk everyone through some of the more technical aspects of bringing a piece like this to life, because it's such an involved project, not only with the artwork itself, but also from an engineering and a technical perspective.
Yeah, so we developed this idea that there could be a digital twin of an ephemeral moment. So it's something where this canon that we've developed releases a digital fog ring and it releases a physical fog ring. The digital one you don't see until you get a digital interface. And the physical one you can interact with. So it's really like something that's existing in two different dimensions. And the fog rings, they fire, and then they go into a generative code, and they respond to these digital fog rings that are reaching and going into the space, and they have their own kind of physics, and they interact with that.
And I'm going to talk for a moment about, so the name of the project, The Passage of Ra. Alex and I talked a lot about this. He has really a keen interest, as do I, in mythology, and mythology connected to tons of different cultures and time periods. When I was at Sotheby's for a while, I was lucky enough to work with the Greek, Roman, and Egyptian antiquities department. I've always been fascinated by Norse mythology. A lot of these things are areas that Alex has a keen interest in also. So the idea of naming the project The Passage of Ra is this kind of incredible connection to Egyptian culture and the celebration of light, and light as this moment that is disappearing. You know, light is never the same. You can feel it in one moment, but it changes the way you feel things. It changes the way you see things, and it's fleeting. The Egyptians, of course, their main deity, Ra, was all about him. He was the god of the sun, but also the god of the living world and the underworld as well. So there's this like beautiful relationship between, I think, the fleeting moment and the lightness of these pieces, which if you step in front of one of these fog rings, which I've done in Alex's booth, they disappear and they dissipate. They are lost in the world so quickly. But then there's this digital portion of it that lasts forever, that has this kind of eternity or this afterlife that continues on afterwards. There's a really beautiful kind of connection through it. And there is this, in the several projects, or the several stages, of this project that we'll be explaining, it all does kind of focus around Ra. So the open edition and limited edition piece that we'll talk about in a moment is called the Eye of Ra, which is also seen as usually portrayed as the sun disk. And it is an extension of Ra and Ra's power and that impact the Egyptian culture. Usually portrayed as a sun disk, always seen in artworks as being a circular piece, oftentimes being worn on the head of Ra as he's seen as a deity on his own. So there's this really beautiful, I think, connection to mythology and kind of the importance of the fleeting moment and praising of the kind of sensory experience of life as well. So here's actually a great image of, you can see on the sun disk, so this is an amazing image of Ra. And oftentimes, actually, the Eye of Ra, which was an extension of Ra himself, which was also usually seen as a female deity or portion, which I also thought was very fitting, seeing as Alex is one part of a two-person artist duo, and his partner Azusa, of course, is female. There's this kind of beautiful relationship of the two are separate, but they're together. They're different deities. One is, kind of larger than the other, but at the same time, they're perfectly connected. They're an extension. So you see here in the image, for example, that at the top, that sun disk is oftentimes how the Eye of Ra was portrayed or seen in Egyptian mythology.
So when the fog rings turn into digital fog rings and kind of enter this space, they fly off into the kind of infinite space. And this is a scene that's constantly changing, and there's lots of variants, different colors. They ripple the surface of the water, and this is the open edition. And
I'll jump in here to talk about the open edition. So this piece is live and active for sale right now. If you stop by the Makerspace booth, you can scan a little QR code on the wall to purchase it, and it's only $99. So Alex, in the kind of concept of this project, wanted to make sure also that there was something that was, accessible for the wider general public as well. But the open edition is also, it's almost an announcement of the larger project. It's something that a lot of people who, are here at NFT Paris, it's almost not a POAP, it's almost not an NFT, but it's something that is a piece of the project. It's a single smoke ring. You guys have been seeing them shoot off into the ceiling nonstop that you can, purchase and have with you. The open edition will be available until the end of the weekend. And if you purchase, each purchase of them actually enters you to win a raffle. One lucky winner of the open edition will win a artwork that is created from the main installation, which is worth $10,000, which is pretty incredible. Every purchase is one entry, but we are also doing a limited edition as well, which Alex just showed with the multiple smoke rings which were moving through the screen. So if you buy 5 open editions, you'll have the possibility of burning them to receive the limited edition. There'll be vastly fewer of them on the market. It's a longer piece, it's more detailed, a little bit higher level. Very beautiful, I'm very excited about it. I will be getting one myself, or I'll be hoping to. But then it all kind of culminates in the main project, which will be for sale on March 21st on makersplace.com. There will be 10 one-of-one editions plus the raffle, which will be given away for free. And we're just thrilled about the project. I mean, we could talk about it all day, but come and talk to us in the booth. Alex and I will be around all day, and Alex will be signing posters in the booth after this from 4 to 5 p.m. So he and I will both be there. If you want to see the project, you want to talk about it a little bit more, we'd love to talk, so come and see us.
Thank you so much.